It's about family, pop culture, and life as a third-generation native of Los Angeles County. Her work has appeared in Hippocampus magazine and the Seal Press anthology, Spent, exposing our complicated relationship with shopping, from 2014. She holds an MFA in fiction from Cal State Long Beach. Please welcome Kelly Shire.
Like David said, this is my fiction that appeared in the Love-Hate issue, the first debut issue of Angel's Flight. Thank you, David and Michelle, for having me tonight. It's awesome to be here. And the second thing I'll be reading is an excerpt from a nonfiction memoir essay that I'm working on. Actually, the essay is done. I call it a work in progress since it's not published yet. So this is Whisperings. A school night inside our pink duplex on a street clotted narrow with parked cars. The sound of her whispers from inside the bedroom has a tactile weight. Pages rifled in a heavy book, palms clattering in the night wind, his tires reversing down the driveway. Lips and tongue vibrate across the hallway through the thin wallboard from where she lies on top of their bed, raising questions and curses into the ceiling. Meanwhile, we three sit around the table musing over a late day of dinner of cereal and burnt toast, their empty wine glasses pushed to the middle, a sticky, fragile centerpiece. Why did my younger sister start? I shred my napkin, chew a nail, think aloud. She shouldn't have to take it so seriously, the eldest blurts and throws her head back laughing. She barely balances, teetering on the back legs of the vinyl chair, pitching dry cereal O's into her mouth, crunching in a fervor of boredom. We've been here before, this dinner, this hour, this wondering. But we're used to it, known not to speak when in an hour or two she'll rise and enter blinking into the dark living room's blue television glare. We'll ignore her, stare down the canned laughter as she leans her hip into the doorframe, patting the pockets of his old robe wrapped around her body nearly twice, searching for cigarettes and lighter. The butane will hiss, the paper sizzle. She'll move to the front window and stare into the darkness. The front door is open. Through the screen door, the seashell chimes clink together once, twice. Beyond the porch and broken sidewalk roars the ocean, or just the freeway. On the bookshelf between the Bible and the true crime paperbacks is a book of knowledge we refer to often. It claims the naked eye can see a candle burning from something like 10 miles away, farther if it's dark enough. Tonight, the moon is new, the east winds have pushed the ocean clouds out to sea. It would be a good time to try, and he could try if he thinks of this at all, could squint his eyes across town through trees and taillights, could see her standing vigil, flicking her lighter, smoke curling as if from the top of her mussed hair. As the late news begins, we edge out of the room behind her slumped shoulders into our shared bedroom at the end of the hall. From beneath the mattress of the top bunk, we retrieve the gold tube of lipstick, found rolling like a lost toy on the rear floorboard of his car. You first. No, you. Give it, my older sister says, smearing herself and then each of us with a dome of crumbling fuchsia until we're giggling and glamorous by nightlight. Shh, she warns. We don't want to draw attention, stoke her ire as she wanders in fitful loops through our small house. We test the backs of our hands softly, then each other's arms, breathing in our unfamiliar salt and ivory soap. Then cheeks, rounded fat with smiles, until finally each other's lips, taking serious and careful turns, the lipstick fading in flurries of kisses. Lips locked firm against dry lips, we press hard against the world's mysteries, working out answers to what might be worth these hushed nights, these urgent whispers. Thank you. Okay, this is the first half of an essay called Guilty. And I chose this one to read just because it features another great but now defunct used bookstore in the LA area. Well, it doesn't feature it, but it's there. Guilty. After being gone over a year on another of his forays into the great unknown, my dad had returned to California. The return was as sudden and unannounced as his departure. He'd come back and had nowhere to go. Without a permanent address, he bumped around the area, sometimes living with and playing bachelor with his dad, who'd separated from his second wife. Sometimes he lived in chain motels with numbers in their names. For a while, my dad lived with a cocktail waitress and her small daughter. For a few days, he lived outdoors at a wilderness park beside the freeway. Despite all of this, I knew my parents would get back together. It was only a matter of time while they hashed out the mysterious terms that kept their marriage chugging along. Once again, my mother, little sister, and I were living with my grandparents, taking up 2 of the 3 bedrooms in their modest ranch house. My dad was not a welcome suitor there, so my parents would meet alone at their old haunts, restaurants, and bars where Dad often knew the waitresses from his many bartending jobs. Occasionally we met as a family. Shooing my sister and I off to the playground, my parents would settle onto a patch of shade. At 13, I wasn't interested in the equipment, but pushed Katie on the swings while glancing over my shoulder to spy on my parents. I never looked deep in conversation. My dad might be napping or browsing the classifieds. In this awkward season of our family courting itself back into existence, I spend an afternoon alone with my dad. From my grandparents, he drives us south down the 605 through a steady rain. The radio is turned to KMPC, an AM station playing standards and old songs by Bobby Goldsboro and Glenn Cameron. I sit in the passenger seat, the windows roll tight against the weather, except for a small crack for Dad's cigarette. Our destination is acres of books, a used bookstore in Long Beach. Dad claims it's the biggest in the state. I'm struck by its vastness, how the wooden stacks and shelves recede into the dim rear of the space. Dad encourages me to browse on my own, but I'm overwhelmed. Like in the dreams where I have 5 minutes to choose one perfect book before the library closes. I roam aimlessly. My focus is not on the rows of titles, but the details of the bookstore and out its plate glass windows. The hint of mildew the rain brings out of the old books, the slick streets of traffic, the sirens, the pneumatic gasp of RTD buses, the press of tall buildings. Downtown Long Beach is far more urban an area than I'm used to, though I've grown up barely 20 minutes from downtown LA. After the bookstore, we browse in a few of the thrift stores Dad loves, hoping to score old treasures. I remain empty-handed. There's not a thing I've wanted to buy. Boarding the freeway back north, it's raining harder. There's no need to worry. Dad is an expert driver. The first time he left us, he'd driven off in our only car, a Ford Pinto, leaving us to be retrieved by my grandparents from the rental we lived in for less than a year. He'd stayed gone 6 months that first time while I finished out the 5th grade at my grandparents' neighborhood school. That first time he'd driven the Pinto all the way from California to Florida and back with untold detours along the way. This time he's been gone longer, again to someplace far, driving thousands of miles as though pursued. But before all that, he'd driven our family the length of the state on frequent road trips, exploring unpaved back roads, navigating the switchbacks of the steep Tioga Pass into Yosemite. For years, he kept from drifting across freeway lanes, returning home from work on late nights after a combination of too many hours or too many drinks behind the bar. The only accidents my dad ever has are fender benders. The Pinto has a collection of dimples and scrapes from small mistakes and late breakings, blemishes that my parents call kisses. Ah, you kissed the car again, my mother might crack when a new one appears overnight. On the return to my grandparents' house, Dad and I don't talk much. We're both quiet types, happy to stroll along bookstore aisles alone. This is how I've most missed my father in the year he's been gone. How we're so alike, how I can sit beside him and be enough. In contrast, when my mother drives, she fills the car with talk, her words like fingers, pushing and prodding, trying to mold my opinions and behaviors into more pleasing shapes. Living back home with her parents, she needs me to be her ally, but I resist. Now my dad has returned again, and I'm beside him with the streaming tobacco smoke, the staticky AM radio, the daytime headlights making prisms on the windshield. I exhale into the smoky car and stare out the window. Now I am safe. Thank you.